Hey there, this is Kreeda Talks. Today I'm joined by Renedy Singh and Prashant Singh. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
With two Singh. Hello.
Okay, I want to start with you, Renedy. We were just talking about academies, right, before this. And both of you guys run academies which trains and creates players in the under 16, under 17 age category. How difficult do you think is it to make the step up from that space to get into the senior squad? How difficult is it for a player?
Yeah, we have seen that. To start. See, I was in academy where I joined academy when I was 11 years old. From 11, 6.5 in Tata Football Academy. That was one of the best experience. Me going all the way from Manipur to Jamshedpur at the age of 11 when I was studying in class 5. And I had that experience. And it was one of the best academy and the only academy in those days. So now, those days when it was only academy from Tata Football Academy, I still remember under 19, the first 11 was all from Tata Football Academy. Can you believe the Indian under 19 team, the first 11 was all from Tata Football Academy. Those days, the training was, you don't get the best training out in different where what we have right now. So it wasn't that difficult to play for the Indian team going from Tata Football Academy. But now you have so many academies all over India, and you have good academies in big cities and even here in Manipur right now. But we know that when you are 14, 15, 16, you can see a lot of talented players. You can see a lot of players who everyone said, oh, he's going to be good, he's going to be great. But you're not guaranteed that when you reach 18, 19, that you will be great in the I League or in the ISL. So, but having said that, if you keep working, you will get it. But there is no guarantee as such. We have seen so many players, who are mediocre and who are okay, and then when they turn 16, 17, or 18, they turn out to be really, really good. So, but this is about we have to keep working. But there's no guarantee that all the players will be playing professionally. But this is what we are trying to. If we could have done it in our academy days, but which I know that there is a lot of competition. Yes, the training has been getting better. The players are getting better facilities while training and all those information from all around the world because of internet and because of good coaching education. Like our Prashant is also there. He's also a coach educator. There are many things have improved, but then it has become more competitive. The chances are getting lesser and lesser, all the academies. But if you keep working, if you believe the people who keep going, I'm sure they will get it.
I'm going to come to you here, Prashant. You've been working in grassroots for quite some time now. Do you think there are enough opportunities today at grassroots, if you were to give us a very honest opinion?
Not yet. Like Renedy mentioned, yes, we have taken steps forward. And yes, now at least, the elite players, the elite youths have a little more opportunities. Like back in the days when Renedy was playing, there was only, like he mentioned, only one academy, Tata Football Academy. But now there are quite a few academies, especially in the metros. If you see Delhi, Bangalore, there are some academies coming up. But when we talk about grassroots, in grassroots, not every academy, every grassroots academy can create a national player. But what the grassroots academy should understand is that they have to, face the ground reality and become a feeder to better clubs. So every one town cannot have 10 I League teams or something like that. But if there is one team already that exists, we can see how the grassroots academy can complement the talent development program to level up. So in terms of opportunity in grassroots, number of matches the children are playing are really are less. And of course, we have taken a few, some good steps in the past decade. But yes, there is still a long way to go when it comes to opportunity. Not only so opportunity in terms of, say, tournaments and leagues. It's not only for the players to develop; it's also for the coaches to develop, for referees to develop, for administrators to develop. So the entire ecosystem has to grow together. We cannot just expect the players to get better and keep others at the same level. So everybody has to grow together, and that's what will take us to the next level. Like all the pillars, they grow together. The coaches, the referees, the administrators, policies, and all this complements player growth.
Yeah, can I come in? I totally agree with Prashant. You know what he was saying, that the players, the grassroots players, the kids, they need to play a lot of matches. That's why I was really happy for so many years. We have this I League, but then that's for a very limited academies. But then every state or district, if they can create a platform where the kids can play every Saturday for 4.5 months at least. I know it costs a lot of money. For 4.5 months or 5 months, then the grassroots teams will have will get more chances. The more you play, the more you get better. And then he rightly said that we need good coaches. I'm not saying the expensive coaches, good coaches in school level where they can the kids can learn the right way to play football. And coming back to playing many more matches, this is where I think the state association or any association, if they can create, like Manipur, I was happy to see 4.5 months, under 13, under 15 and under 18. We play every Saturday. So before the COVID, for 2 months, I think we were playing every Saturday. Our under 13, our under 15 and 18, and there are 14 other teams who are playing also in Manipur itself. So if they can do, if the other states can do the same, everyone will get. And after that, when they turn 18, like Prashant said, if they can go off to any I League team or, so that's how it should work. More matches we need to give, they require. So we need to create that platform. And every district association or any private association, we should create more.
Renedy, you were talking about something in the last question where you said around 15, 16, 17 is the age where people mature physically as well as mentally, and they start becoming the footballers that they were destined to be, right? But if you look at how India has progressed, most of our attrition happens around the age of 14, 15, when kids get out of school. There are very little opportunities at the university level. So if below 14 age category, if there are 100 players, by the time they reach the age of 16, there are only 20 players left. And a lot of it has also got to do with the fact that parents are not supportive enough for the lack of a lot of different things. Like, so maybe grown up in a setting where we do not have a lot of money. And historically, we have known that football in India isn't something that gives you a lot of earning potential right away. So how difficult is it for parents to come to the acceptance that we need to let our kids go play football? And how difficult is it for an academy owner to convince parents to let the kids continue playing football?
There are two things. In a place like Manipur, you don't have to convince. They have that hunger. We have kids who are 7, 8, 9, 10. We have thousands and thousands of kids who are coming, but even paying, and most of them cannot pay. But with if you talk about the hunger, if you talk about the interest, if you talk about the talent in this part of the world, in this part of India, it's enormous. It's so much. But I can see there in the big cities, you have to push the kids. You have to. But this is something, it's not in your control. But if you talk about how much the players are earning right now, even the young players, those who have played 2 years back, they played in under 17 World Cup. So there were about 8 players from Manipur, and the captain of the Indian team, Amarjit, we went to Amarjit's house 4 days or 5 days before with one of my friends to take the interview, and his mom and dad didn't have money to travel watch the sons play in Delhi. They didn't have money. Now he's earning around 40 or 50 or 60 lakhs a year. So can you imagine 2 years? And for a Manipuri kid, and Manipur is one of the most, if you say that, if you talk about the resources, if you talk about money, if you talk about people, they are not, there are not many, they are almost all of them are struggling. But when the son come back with 60, 70 or 40 lakhs, I think it's big. So in our days, when we started, 1997, 4.5 a year in East Bengal, in Mohun Bagan, in East Bengal, it was, for me, that's for a whole year. Now the kids are earning, 17, 18. If they're talented, they're earning around 30, 40. So if you see that the players are earning quite a lot now. Sunil is on 1 crore above. And there are many other players. If you see, in before it wasn't there, but I don't see that my parents didn't allow me, because my father used to beat me up when I was training, when I was at the age, so when I was coming back, when I was in school, class 3 or 4 or 5, because father himself was a footballer. He played for the Manipur state. He couldn't play for the Indian national team, but he played Rovers Cup and all from Manipur side. And he couldn't do much by playing football. He has to start a transport business, and that's how, But he used to beat me up, like I said, and those were the days. But now, if you see, there are so many examples who are doing really well. So I don't think that any parents, would stop to play football, because the things are getting better. But yes, it is getting way more competitive, without any doubt. But then, if you, like in Manipur, if you see, I know many people. If you ask any boys or girls who are 17, 18 or 20, 21, and after their college, what would you ask them? What are you doing? They say, oh, may UPSC there, may UPSC entrance there. But how many do pass in thousands and thousands? 1, 2. So just imagine. But in football also it's the same. The ratio wise, I think football is a little better. But if you're talented enough, you can earn well now even in a place like India. Yeah, but if you are not talented, I think in any games or in any profession, you're not going to get it. So let's see on a brighter side. But money wise, I would say it's much better now than what we used to earn.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. And also, I think Manipur is technically a slight outlier in this, where there you really do not have to go push the kids at all. Here, yeah, I think.
Yeah, in major cities, I understand that, but things are changing. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely good to know. Prashant, if you could also weigh in on this, because I know you've worked in Delhi and in Bombay, right? Two of the biggest cities in the country. And like, unfortunately, these are not football hotbeds in the country, but I think both have been picking up, right? I mean, the baby, like the grassroots football, that the baby leagues that Delhi are running is amazing. And I think now that AIFF has decentralized the leagues, I think all of the youth leagues are going to happen through the state association. So how do you think this comes up in cities like Bombay and Delhi, and how far are we from matching up to the talent potential that, say, Manipur has?
Right. So one thing, like Renedy mentioned, the financial incentives definitely have improved for players. And back in the days, it was only probably the I League which everybody used to look up to. But now even state associations are coming up with pro leagues. Goa has a pro league, Kerala has a pro league, sevens, Calcutta has a pro league, Delhi is coming up with a pro league. So even these pro leagues are also, in the pro leagues also, the players are paid a decent amount of money. So even if the player cannot make it all the way to I League or ISL or the national team, there are a lot of states, and in a few years, almost every state will come up with its own pro league. So that way, the opportunity for players have definitely increased, and they have increased substantially. Like the amount of money that the players are getting, and most importantly, the way they are being treated now. Initially, even where they used to sleep, or, I mean, I'm sure Renedy will put more light on that. I've heard some of his story, but, back in the days, the struggle was very, very real, and a lot of credit in India goes to actually, India, the sport has gained popularity mainly because of European football. The European football, wahan se popularity hai, and now it is slowly transferring to our local football scene as well. And that's where we see the paradigm shift. That's where the influence is being shifted. When you talk about a place like Manipur, I mean, I don't think the cities, the other major cities can match up when it comes to talent. Again, because Renedy mentioned, financially, a lot of people are struggling over there. And when they see someone like Renedy coming back, Gauramangi coming back, and other players coming back, they have so many role models. They have so many heroes there who have made it to the national team, who've made it to ISL, to I League, to the top level, and even have earned good money. So there people they have a lot of heroes to even look up to. The young children in the Northeast, they have so many heroes to look up to, so many role models. And football for them becomes a ticket to a better life. Yeah. So here in Mumbai or in Delhi, your ticket to a better life would be your IT or your medical or get into engineering or something like that. But especially in the Northeast, football they have seen, because they have seen, like, okay, there was this guy who was living right next to me, and now he's in ISL I League making lakhs and crores of rupees. So they have so many role models who have taken that step. It's just like Africa, in Africa also there is no infrastructure. I mean, people say infrastructure, but you see the hunger, you see the passion, because they know this is a ticket to a better life, and there can be no better motivator than that. So in Africa, there are people not getting proper drinking water, but are producing world-class players. So, and the same drive and the same passion, I think, is there in the Northeast, where they really have that hunger and passion. And not only Northeast, even in some places like Odisha, in some remote places of Bengal. Odisha, I've personally seen when I was working there with on a high performance women's project. So there are girls who have been orphaned because of the Naxals, and there are so many hardships that are going on in the tribal community. But when they have a drive, and they have a lot of drive and a lot of motivation to do better, excel in sports, not just football. They're doing good in athletics, in whatever hockey, whatever sport they are playing. So I think in city, they look at sports very differently compared to other places. And in Northeast India, it's like our gold mine when it comes to football.
Yeah, Prashant, I agree with you again. See now in Manipur, if you see, we all in all over India, in all over the world, we play football because we love the game. Number one, in a place like Manipur or many other states, like even Orissa, we play because for the love of the game, yes. But to come out from the poverty they're living in, they don't even have 20 rupees sometimes to travel for the training. They don't even have, money to buy a bread or eggs. This is what the condition they're living in. If you see the houses, it's sad. And I have been visiting at this time during this pandemic. They are even more struggling. All the families, no work, and how they will get, even before training, I request them to eat something, but they don't have that much money. The father or mom must be earning, 6,000-7,000, and then 3-4 kids, they have to survive. So it's a difficult times, not only during this pandemic. For them, pandemic has been there for years and years. But to come out, football or sports, they see the way to come out from this poverty, how they could come out. So hunger, it will always be there. Love of the game, yes, but then more than that, how they can come out from this condition, the way they are living in, and that drives, itself. So if we can have good coaches spread over, and it will become way better. And things are changing fast. The only worrying thing is how we can help them for 4-5 years. If we don't have a single residential, how we can help them to give at least a good breakfast, good food to eat, so that they can survive and they can do better. Because we can't just push into the training when they don't eat. We have 450 kids, and we have 90 elite kids. Especially where we concentrate more on 90 elite kids, and we just can't ask them to give 100% every single day when we know that they don't even eat properly and come. So there are many challenges that we face, and this is something we have to see how we can help them.
I'm going to continue on that topic, right? It is true that, in India, a lot of people come from backgrounds where they do not have the money to maintain the amount of nutrition that is needed. So that's why we have so many midday meal programs as well, right? So the midday meal programs are run by the government right now. But if you look at young players in the age category of maybe 7 to 12 or even younger, maybe, who does the onus fall on over there? Should it be private academies that look at maybe pooling in money from private investors that can essentially ensure that children, before they come into the field, are eating the right kind of food, requisite amount of nutrition is happening? Or do the state bodies also need to get involved in this?
Yeah, but then, if we talk about getting a help from the state, I think the state, it's too busy. I think the system itself it's not great. I honestly, they have got too many things to concentrate on, you know. But I think doing through private, I think would be way better, because I think it takes a lot of times when you request the state government or whatever. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of paperwork, I think. So I think what we would rather, you know, do on our own, and that's what I would say. You know, whatever we can. While of course we can request the state without any doubt. You know, or at least our state, the chief minister, he was an ex-footballer, but then he has got so many problems to look into. I feel for right now. I'm sure it will know while, you know, it will take a lot of time. So while waiting for that, you know, if we can continue with our own, you know, that's what we are trying to do. At least a lot of friends are trying to help, but then for how long, you know? And we have to have this sustainable kind of thing we have to come up with, which is what we have been, you know, thinking.
I think hopefully that happens soon, because that is an issue that we've seen. That speaking in the industry, speaking to people, we've seen that that's an issue, and it's an issue even in states like Maharashtra. There are so many programs that run in Bombay where young children are given meals every day. They're taught lessons based on football. So there are NGOs that are doing that. And I really hope what Prashant and you were talking about, right, that this sport gives children a way out of their poverty, right? Talking about role models, and it's so important to have role models, right? So, and it's not just for football, it's for any sport or any field where you're in advertising, you know, role model, you're a singer, you need a role model. And coming back to the topic of role models and opportunities, and I remember Prashant was talking about how European football was more popular in India, like maybe till 20 years back, to 10 years back, to 5 years back, and now Indian football's picked up, right? Talking about opportunities there, we've had so many Indian players going abroad, right? And I wanted to ask you, Renedy, about your experience with CSK Sofia. If you could just briefly tell me about how that was, and do you have any regrets about that stint?
See, now if we talk about Europe, playing in Europe, dream of playing in Europe, I think when I was in Tata Football Academy, we used to go stay 1.5 months every year, train over there and come back. But then the distance was so far still that when I signed for Mohun Bagan, and I played in Mohun Bagan, East Bengal for 12 years, you know, 6 years and 19 years as such. And football, you know, when you say that you are a player from India interested to play in Europe, somehow it was very, very difficult. Baichung tried in Bury, tried for 3 years. Sunil Setri tried in Kansas. After that, he was in Sporting Lisbon. But he of course, they work really, really hard. But that it's difficult to get into that when you have only 3 foreigners or 4 foreigners quota. It's very difficult from going from India and then compete to get into that 3 foreigners quota or 4 foreigners quota over there, because you have to compete with the best of South America. You have to compete with the best of Africa. You know, there are so many players. But if you are a European passport holder, then you don't have to worry about getting into the team. Of course, I feel that in Indian, few Indians can play, even if it's not in the top division, at least they can play in the first division. There are few players who can play. But to going from India, like say if a good player from Nepal or Bangladesh coming to ISL and play, they hold that quota for foreigners, and they have to compete with the best of foreigners. So that's how tough it is. So, but for me, it would have been much better when I was 17 or 18 or 19, you know, when I started, when I was very young. If I would have gone, it would have been much better. But knowing that before retiring, 1 or 2 years before retiring, getting a chance to go to CSK, one of our friend, he's an agent, he was the one called Nuno from Portugal, Lisbon. He was the one who used to take Indian team to Barcelona for 2 months when Bob Houghton was there, to Lisbon, Sporting Lisbon for 2 months. He used to take the whole Indian team. And he's the one who took Sunil Setri to Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, Nuno. He's a very good friend, and he knows Indian football in and out, because he has been helping Indian team to travel abroad and train over there in Barcelona. And also, and when I got a call from him, he was asking, Renedy, if you want to try over there, you know, at least even if I don't play, at least I could learn so much, because when you train for 5-6 months with the best, you can learn so much. And then I was going to go into coaching after 1 or 2 years. So I thought, and then I was going on loan from, because we played only for 4 months here in Kerala Blasters. And then the remaining 5 months or 6 months when I stayed there, that was the best experience ever. And I would thank Nuno for giving me a chance, because now we have this ISL. That was the first year of ISL. Now we have so many good players coming up, so many good coaches coming and training over here day in, day out. And the players are getting to learn. The assistant coaches are getting to learn. I'm not saying all the coaches who have come from abroad are good coaches. No, not really. But there are good coaches. If you talk about David Platt, who was in Manchester City to Pune City, So when you go there, you're getting day in, day out every single day, right? So that was the best experience ever. Even though I couldn't make it in the first 11, it was very difficult. But that was, I would say, a very good experience. And in life, I would have been happy if I would have got that when I was 19 or 20. But learning is something which never ending. So yeah, it was a good experience for me.
That's good to know. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, if it happens at the right age, it's the best, right? So if it happened for you at 17 or 18, it would have been better. So you spoke about opportunities and how Nuno helped you guys get the gig abroad, right? And it happens both ways, right? So you need to know people that know clubs and agents out there in the West, in European countries. Also the other way around, where the agent himself needs to know where the talent is in the country, right? I'm going to come to you on this, Prashant. How difficult do you think is the issue of scouting today in the country? Because one, we do not have enough opportunities, so there are not enough longer running leagues, right? So if you look throughout the country and if you look at how many leagues run beyond 3 months, beyond 4 months, there are very few. So how difficult is it to scout talent, Prashant?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it is extremely difficult for a country like India, especially when it's this guy. I mean, actually a continent, if you see, with so many cultural differences, language, terrain, everything. So the first, scouting becomes difficult, and it really goes down to how much a club is ready to spend on scouting. Where are they ready to go? Like Minerva, we know it's going to the northeast, even to the smaller towns, but then that's just one club. But if the overall scouting network has to grow, there have to be enough platforms, and then from these platforms you can start scouting players. So if you cannot go in one village to find out one player, because that is not even financially sustainable to scout that way, because we have like so many millions of villages here. You cannot go to each and every one, but there can be so step number one would be, something like these baby leagues. So you have a platform in which children from nearby villages come and play every Sunday, like what Renedy was doing before the pandemic. Every weekend they have games. So that gives a platform, and then you can see a player's consistency. Okay, was that player just good on that particular day, or is he consistently good for a prolonged time of 6 months, 7 months? He shows consistency against different kind of opponents as well. So I think a scouting ke liye, the first thing that we have to do is have a lot of platforms, and once we have platforms, then it becomes easier to scout.
I'm going to continue on that topic for a bit. Renedy, so now say there are 5 really interesting players that are coming out of your academy, okay? Players that you think have a potential to go ahead and play for the country, represent the country in the future. How do Prashant and I today sitting in Bombay know about this? Okay, so one is, if we know you personally, you can pick up the phone, I can pick up the phone and call you and ask you, hey, is there any good player from your academy that's going to graduate in the next 2 years? Somebody who I can give the opportunity to play here. But if we do not know someone over there, do you think there is some kind of technology that we can use today, maybe to create a database of the players so that anybody in the country can look at going to this database and checking out? Is that possible? Do you think there is some kind of technology that we can use to bridge the gap?
But then it costs money here again. But for that technology, how many associations are going to, or how many teams are going to spend money, you know. So now technology, if we can have, then by sitting here, you know, you can keep a tab on all around, you know, India or on the players. But then it is so difficult, you know, and it costs quite a lot of money. And this is something we have to start doing, yes. But while waiting for that, what we can do is what we have to think on. I feel that. Just now, if I see that there are 5-6 players, you know, and that's why I request our academy, the officials, the Classic Academy of it, to have record the match, every single match whenever we play. It's good for the coaches, it's good for the players, you know, and it's so important. And we talk about database, which is very, very important, yes. But then now, this is what we have to start slowly move in, you know. And then, of course, if we have enough money, we can, there's so many things that which will help the players, which will help the coaches, which will help the scouts, you know. But when we don't have that, what we do is, this is what we have been trying, that at least to record the matches, so that we can they can at least learn, you know, and at least even the coaches will be able to say that. And if you want to send it to any agents, or send it to any teams or any coaches, if they want to look into, they can have. But again, I think only on the if you see the recording of the match, it's always better when you see live. Of course, if I want to sign a player, I would request young player, at least I would request him to come at least for 3-4 weeks, yeah, at the preseason, and that's when I think you can see how good he is or not, you know. Of course, recording and it is good, it helps, but then to see live, for me, it's always, you know. So because if you I cannot ask a 25-year-old, a very good player, you know, to come and have a trial. There are many players who are ready to give a trial, and there are many players who are not ready, you know. But a young player will always be ready to give a trial, and that's how we should be, you know. In our days, yes, you know, sign him, and people used to sign with your goodwill or with your whatever, you know. But I think every coaches, at least nowadays, you know, you cannot just sign because I said it. Of course, they will see. They have to see for 3-4 weeks at least to sign a player, at least a young player. Of course, that is not enough, but that's how we should be. Yeah.
True. So I think going back to the analog ways, right, when there was no technology, and I think it was all word of mouth, right? अरे मैंने उसको कल खेलते हुए देखा, he's amazing. You really need to take a look at that player. And I think Prashant and I, we come from a city where it's difficult to get crowds to the stadium, unfortunately, right? I mean, it is never an issue if Neroka is playing. Do we get crowds in the stadium? So I think when a Neroka plays or a Lajong plays, I think people coming to the stadium to watch the game is never an issue. So how difficult do you think it is? You know, Prashant, I'm going to come to you on this question. There's more pervasion of technology in, say, Bombay and, say, Delhi. How important is it for fan culture to develop so that the culture of football also starts developing, right? So we always ask, why is it that Manipur produces way more players than, say, a Bombay or a Bangalore? And I think part of it is also that football at the end of the day is a spectator sport. So for a footballer, even at a young age, you need to see people seeing you play, right? That's where your natural talent comes out at times. The showman in you comes out at times. So do you think the fan culture, if it starts developing in bigger cities like, say, a Delhi or a Bombay, Prashant, do you think that might help start creating more players? Is that something that stops cities like Bombay and Delhi from producing more players?
Right. So of course, sport has an entertainment value. If you go back to the old days, sport was started as a source of entertainment. To keep the population away from actual social issues. So if you see, yes, it doesn't sound so good when you say that, but that's the reality. Every sport has an entertainment value, and the entertainment value is definitely going up. Of course, there are so many good things which are a byproduct of it. But here, if you see, the fan culture right now is driven by pure passion, because the entertainment value of sport is not as high as yet. But if you see something like kabaddi, the way it clicked, especially amongst the tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's because for them, pro kabaddi had a very high entertainment value. So when you go to the cities, I would say again, like, there are so many distractions in the city to entertain yourself, there are so many things you can do. You can go to the mall, you can go bowling, you can go karting, there are so many things you can do in the city. Uh, but when you talk about the entertainment value of sport in the cities is not reached at that level yet where it can compete with other forms of entertainment. But when you talk about northeast, it's live music and it's football. It has a very very high entertainment value as well. So passion complemented by a high entertainment value is what really drives a lot of fans. So it has to be a good balance, because in city, in Mumbai, only passionate people go to the cooperage to watch games, who are really passionate about the games. But once the numbers really start building up, I've seen a few games in the northeast. Their friends, they say, okay, what are you doing, let's go for the match. So it's like a part of it, has a lot of entertainment value as well. So that culture has not yet come to the cities, because we have a lot of other things sport has to catch up with, especially in the entertainment value.
Okay.
Question for Renedy.
Yes, please, Prashant.
Yeah, Renedy, so when you switch from East Bengal to Mohan Bagan, what was the fans' reaction? Or Mohan Bagan to East Bengal, sorry. So
I was believe that when I switched from Mohan Bagan to East Bengal, from 1996, Mohan Bagan, 1997 to East Bengal, back from after 3 years to East Bengal, because Naimuddin came, Naimuddin back to East Bengal, just because I was happy with East Bengal, but then Naimuddin came, so I have to shift to East Bengal, and then I was suspended for 3 months. I don't know why I was not allowed to play for 3 months, and then I went to Bangladesh, Avani. I played in Avani for 2 months, I think, and I got back, and I started on third month. I started playing for Bagan. I don't know why I was suspended, but I was just because I came from East Bengal to Mohan Bagan. So that's how it was.
Well, at
what
least
about the fans? Did fans give you a tough time?
Fans, no, but of course, yes. But when you lose, you get a worse time actually. But then when you win, you forget everything. But that's Calcutta, and I would love to go back again, right? That's one of the best places. You get gali, but you get love also at the same time. So because playing 12 years in Mohan Bagan, East Bengal, I had a very good experience and a bad experience as well. So now, if we talk about a fans culture, where we are talking about, now if you want to bring back the supporting culture or the fans culture we have, see, if we go to Kerala, 70,000-80,000 in a match. If you go to Goa, full. If we go to Calcutta, 100,000, and it was once Mohan Bagan, East Bengal, it was 130,000, 130,000 people watching a derby. And when we were in East Bengal, and that's where Baichung scored 3 goals and we won 4-1. That was one of the best experience. But a place like Delhi and Mumbai, if you talk about why there is not much of fans culture, yes, there are many in Delhi where they support Real Madrid, where they support Manchester. If you see in the bar, if you see, or if you go to Mumbai, you see there are many big Premiership clubs. They support. It's nothing wrong with that, but we have to bring back. We have to think about when we go to Portugal, we go to a place where with small community. Of course, they know where Real Madrid is the best team, or they know Manchester, or they know Manchester City is the best team, but they support their own local team more than any other. So now it is for the club owner, it is so important to do a community service, to do a community work through football. So you need to have homegrown players. So say suppose if in Manipur, if we have players from United Arab Emirates, 3 or 4, I don't know how many people will come up if we don't have our own homegrown players. That's why if you want to bring the supporters back, community service is a must through football, and you need homegrown players where people will be interested to go. So when we watch a World Cup, if a Tunisia playing a team somewhere from Africa, then it's not that interesting. But if we say, India, we will surely, because we have our own people there. So it's so important to have this, homegrown players, so that if homegrown players, the family itself, the whole community will come and watch. And it's so important, like even in Manipur. That's why I think that there are places, a team like Neroka, they are planning to have, more homegrown players so that people are more interested. It's nothing to do with of course, yes, the other state players can come. If Goa can start thinking, if Delhi, how many Delhi players are playing in when Delhi Dynamos was there? Maybe one, two. So how the community, how the Delhi people are going to come and support? So that it is so important. But then coming back to the fan culture in Calcutta, of course, yes, the best experience for me is when we win, and the bad experience is if you lose, then the fans will wait for 2-3 hours. They will break your car. They will they will wait for you to abuse you. They will abuse your mom, your dad, your sister. But if you win, you are on top of the world. That's the best thing about Calcutta. Calcutta, of course, yes, I played in Kerala Blasters. I have seen the supporters. Now I can see in Bangalore, but Calcutta supporters, they are totally different. They will not, I don't think the Kerala, we lost few games, but they didn't wait for us so that they can abuse. But in Calcutta, if you win, like I said, you're on top of the world. You are the best player, at least for a few hours in the world. But if you lose, if you're on the losing side, they will wait for hours, 3-4 hours. I'm not, exaggerating, 3-4 hours just to abuse you, just to, make you angry. But that's how passionate they are. And that itself is good play, because players also, they perform, they try and perform better every match. And they are not satisfied with 1 win or 2 wins. They just keep going. And that's what the players should have also. And for me, playing in Calcutta was the best ever. But I still remember, that was my first year, I think, when I was in Mohun Bagan. And those days we don't travel on the flight. Where after playing against Toligans, we were supposed to catch a train by Rajdhani. We were supposed to go play Durand, and we lost 1-0 to Toligans, or we drew. And it's in Salt Lake, even if they want to abuse the pitch, is so far from the gallery that you have got a tunnel to go. But in Mohun Bagan ground, you don't have a tunnel, so they spit on you. They spit on us, on all the players, like 100, 200 people from top. And then while you're washing, it was, and 3-4 hours after that also, we couldn't go out of the stadium because they were waiting, to abuse us. So that's how it was. And when you win, wherever you go out, the way they will make you feel, like, even though you're not the best player, but they will surely make you feel you are the best player in the world. That's how the fans are in Calcutta. But now I was just talking to a few of my friends. It's not the same anymore. Because they sing and chant for a whole 90 minutes. But we never saw that when we were playing for 12 years. Of course they cheer you up. They're happy. They're in good mood. But now also, even if you lose, I think the fans, they're okay. They're much calmer, and they have been learning a lot from the supporters from all around the world, the best clubs all around the world. Even if you're losing, even the team is losing, they chant till the end. I think that should be the way. Not like in our days, it's only gali when you're losing. When you're winning, say, oh, you're the best. The fans also play an important role. But yes, overall, I will always cherish.
It's good to know that the Indians are leaving aside the hooligan culture and picking up the better parts of fandom.
Yeah.
So you spoke about homegrown players and the importance, right? And both of you run academies in your states. Prashant, I'm going to come to you here. You have an academy that represents a city, technically, right? So there is that pride for me or for anybody from that city to go and play for your academy, right? Which is why I'm also guessing the name of the academy has the city's name. It gives you that pride as a player, right? How difficult is it to attract homegrown players into the academies, and how difficult is it to run an academy sustainably in the country today? So we spoke about pay-as-you-play models, right? And not a lot of players have the money to even pay whatever the fees are, right? Maybe $3,000, $4,000 a month, or maybe even lower. And it becomes very difficult, right? So you cannot divide players based on strata, right? It's not that the higher class children are playing better than people coming from the lower class. That's not an indicator, right? So how do you run an academy sustainably today?
Right. So yeah, I mean, the whole point about naming the club after the city was to give the people of the city a sense of ownership, a sense of belonging. Like, yes, this belongs to us. And like even Renedy mentioned earlier, it is so important to engage with the community. So what we are doing from day one is, in fact, we just launched this the new brand identity in March this year, just before the lockdown happened. But even within the lockdown itself, we are trying digitally to do take up issues which impact the community. So it should not be like, okay, you are a football club and you expect the community to come to you. You should see what are you doing for the community, how are you penetrating inside the community, what is that you are doing to engage with the community. So that has to be very that is of the highest importance for us, especially from day one. We are making sure that we are a community driven club and not a club and we expect just people to come whenever we play big leagues. We don't expect the people to just come to the stadium. So what we want to do is engage with the community, and that's where people step in and then they volunteer. So even if they don't give support in terms of monetary support, but at least if they can give you 1 hour of their time a week for whatever. So we just launched a community leader program, and the response has been really amazing. Considering we are just like 4 months old, we've not really done, but the message we put out there was loud and clear that yes, we are here for the community and it is driven by everyone and it belongs to everyone. So even now we are shortlisting 5 people, and even if they give us 1 hour of their time a week, that can add so much value to the club. So and it's not always monetary. For the growth. So even if they have their own expertise. So 5 people, they have their own expertise. Some come from the finance expertise, some come from graphics, media, and so many others. So there is so much value that the community can also add to the club. So then talking about sustainability, yes, of course, running a pro team or running a senior team in India is not financially sustainable yet. Especially when you talk about cities like Mumbai, Delhi, where there is not a lot of fan culture. So that's why we are working. We have a bottom-up approach for the next few years, in which we make sure that we have a very strong community which we regularly engage with. And once we have built that, we know that yes, whenever we are growing, taking vertical steps, we are taking them along with us, and we grow as we go. So that is our way of so that's our approach, is we work bottom up. And for the next few years, definitely we'll be focusing a lot on community driven initiatives, rather than rushing our way to a senior team or to play the I League 2 or something like that.
Okay, moving away from grassroots for a bit, we spoke about the bottom of the pyramid. I'm going to talk about the top of the pyramid for a bit. If we look at players at the highest level in India, right, and they obviously have agents, they have their clubs, but at the end of the day, I think everybody needs someone to look out for their best interests and not just monetarily, right? So, Renedy, I'll come to you on this. You sit at the helm of Football Players Association of India today. How important do you think are organizations like FPAI for the country's ecosystem? And do you think they have enough powers today to get certain changes made in the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think FPAI, it is very important. And if I share you our stories, how we started. So when we were 1996, we turned pro. I turned professional. I signed for Mohun Bagan, and Baichung signed in 1993. And till 1990, till 2008, I think I think the teams, they were struggling to pay every time. So now, if you talk about ISL, your salary at the end of the month, it's there in your account. Even with a lot of I-League teams, except 1 or 2, I would say, I-League teams, their salaries on time. But I can see that there are 2 or 3 clubs which is giving quite a lot of problem. But in our days, it was quite normal. Of course, Dempo was always on time. And I would say in our days, like where Samir, Clifford, everyone, Mahesh, they always get their salary on time. But in place like Calcutta, Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, after winning a league, I still remember with Mohun Bagan, we waited for 6 months, I think, for the salary. And then what they do is they said that ye baki hum tomorrow advance hoke de deta and all. This was how it used to work. And not only Mohan, it's all everywhere, you know, except few in those days. So then Baichung was all, but he played in Bury, and he know how Players Association works in PFA in UK. And then when we were having a camp for 2 months, 2 or 3 months in Dubai, Baichung, you know, have come up with this idea, you know, let's start a Players Association, so that, you know, because we will finish in another 5 or 6 years, so that, you know, our players who are youngsters, they don't face the same problem what we have faced for many years, not getting salary on time. We have to wait for salary for 5-6 months, you know. That was very normal in those days. But now, since 2008 and 9, I think if you ask the players, almost, at least on the I-League, and I know in smaller clubs it's even more, in smaller clubs or in smaller leagues. I mean, you know, if you say Calcutta League teams, if you talk, I'm talking about the I-League in those days, not even ISL. ISL is always on time, yes. But in I-League in those days, it was very difficult, you know, for the players. You know, how can, you know, you not get salary for 3-4 months? You know, how players will survive? How he will concentrate to play game after game, you know, every 3 days. You know, but we played with those difficulties, and that's when we realized that we start academy so that we can force the team, or we can request. So if we are united, of course, players are united. You know, the club official will not be able to take advantage what they used to, and it has stopped after that. It has declined, and things are way better than before. If you talk about from 96, you know, I know 96 is, I talk about 90, I always say 96 because that's when I started playing in big clubs, and till 2008-9 it was worse. But after that, things have become much better. Players are getting on salary on time. They have become more professional, and now the I-League clubs are also, of course, they are more organized right now, you know, than before. So that's why we started. And then players will get injury. You sign a players for 2 years, or those days only 1 year we used to sign, and then you get like Deepak Mandal. He got injured in 2 months, and after that the club said, "Oh, you are not going to give us service. We cannot pay you." That was very normal. But now, if you sign a club, if you get injured while playing for the club will take care for your treatment, everything, your salary, everything. So why the players don't have to worry? If you talk about ISL right now, I was there for a year, and then I was assistant coach for 2 years. They stay in 5-star for 6 months, and they take everything. There are 3 physios, and there are doctors, and there are, you know, the facilities is so good, and players don't even share a room now. And things are so good that players just have to concentrate on the game. In our days, we have to concentrate. We have to have our own house, our own cook, and then we have to have our own car and go to the training house. And then in spite of that, if the matches are not going well, you will not get a salary. And then the players shouldn't face that. But the players right now, 99% of the players are not facing that, at least in I-League and ISL. There are I mentioned there are 1 or 2 clubs this is giving a problem, but the rest. And then what we have to do as a players association is there are many difficulties which the low league players are facing, which we are trying to do that. Because to work with the association, Indian association in different parts of India, that's the most difficult thing. And I can understand with AIFF also. We always blame the AIFF. AIFF is not doing this, not doing that. But what our state associations doing? You know, state association, there are few state associations we are running really well. There are very few, but others they don't have any idea what's going on in the world. If you talk about our association in Manipur, if you see the I-League, the Neroka in 2 years back when Classic was there, for 4 years the way they managed, they organized the league. If you go and watch the match, there is no big difference with ISL. If you see the ground condition, if you see where the spectators they come, if you see where the VIP they sit and they get all this food at the halftime and stuff, you know, and if you see the league, there's the same Manipur, the same. If you see the league organized by our own association, we need to improve a lot, you know. And it's I'm not blaming, but that's what I'm saying. We need to improve. So if the state associations have to be way more organized, you know. We cannot blame on AFF, but things are getting better, but this is what we are planning. We don't want to fight. Association doesn't mean that we want to fight with AFF. We want to fight with state association. All we are thinking is we can work together for the betterment of the players, which we are, but we have to work as a FPI Players Association. We have to really work on the lower league teams or lower league players who are facing problems. But with at least I-League and ISL, we don't have to worry much about all this. But even I-League now, it's much better. Yeah, with the second division and teams and the league team, local league teams, players are still facing problems, which we have to work on.
And I think kudos to you and people like Baichung, right, who've stuck around and helped the ecosystem. I'm going to come to you on this, Prashant. From your vantage point, how important is it that ex-players, players after retirement, are still involved in the system, right? So you see Baichung, he's been involved in the system. Renedy's been involved in the system. How important do you think is it that ex-players need to be a part of the system after retirement?
Yeah, it's absolutely important, because there are some skill sets which ex-professionals bring to the ecosystems which others cannot, because they've been there, they've done that, and like Renedy, we had a lot of talks. Yes, of course, coaching and playing is different, but an ex-player turning a coach has a lot of advantages, because he has seen the game from different perspective. He's been there. There are a lot of things that they can add a lot of value to. And apart from that, things that the Players Association is also doing it after retirement. I'm sure Renedy will add a lot of insights to this. There are so many players, you just don't know what to do after their playing days are over. And association, yes, of course, tries to guide them, but then that has to be, that is coming in now, because we have seen so many ex-players. I'm sure Renedy will add more light on that. They were at the peak, when in their playing days, but after playing, they just didn't know what to do. And you can't even blame the players, because while they were so much involved in playing, they missed out on a lot of other social elements to survive in the society, because their life revolved around go train, play, give your best. Go train, play, give your best. And no doubt they did a lot of justice to that. But once your playing career is over, there are a lot of other life skills that you need to know: how to manage your money, how to plan for the future, for your own financial security, for the financial security of your family, for your children. So that's where it's very important to have a players association in which ex-players come together and they guide ex-players. And like I said, it is very important even in administrative roles, in coaching technical roles, to have ex-players, because in the community level it gives a lot of they are the role models for the community. When children, they really look up to, like, oh, Renedy, I've seen him on TV, and now he's coming in my academy, and he's talking to me, interacting with the players. So they have a bigger impact on the community because they are role models. And especially in the elite and the pro system, ex-players have a lot of importance, for sure.
Randy, I think you went into coaching as well, right, after your retirement, and there are quite a few players that have done that. So I think Arata Izumi has also done that. I think who guides players today? So I think a Sunil Chetri doesn't need that guidance. He's got enough people around him. He's got that ecosystem and support system. But there are a lot of other players that will retire, and they might not have the whole branding opportunities or the marketing opportunities that a Chetri gets. Who guides them? What happens post-retirement? Is there a body that actually guides them? And who does the onus fall on?
We don't have this. Of course, yes, we try and talk to them as a players association whenever we have a meeting. That's why we have a player like Maharaj, who is such a big influential person in if you see in Kashmir. We have players from Kerala, NP, Sushant, So we try and talk to so that they can at least spread out the word, so that they can be an example. We have to be good example as a sports personality. When you're retired, if you can, like, now I'm here, what I do here, with our youngsters, And we have seen before us, there are many good players who have played in the best level. And after retirement, they cannot live the same life what they used to. And that's so important, because now if you want to become a football coach after retirement, to be a coach, coaching and playing is two different things, like we have already mentioned. And from D license to A license, if you want to go, we have to spend 5 years. And that 5 years, of course, we have to be good in the ground, but then you have to be good in the theories. You have to read and write. But there are many players who are having difficulties to read and write, and that's the biggest challenge that we are facing in nowadays also. That's why when we have academy, we request the players, we force the players to balance this, to balance with studies and game. Because how many hours do we play? We train 2.5 hours in the morning. Sometimes maybe if you go on 3, 2.5, or 1.5, 2.5, 3, and maybe 1 hour their individual training in the evening. So 4.5 hours, the remaining hours, they can do so much. Like Susan said, you know what, as a player, we only think about how much money we are earning, and we only think about how we can give 100% best, and every 3 days or every match we play, but we have to concentrate so much. But, when you put into the young players that, you have to balance your studies along with your game, and then it become very easy, to explain it to them, because it's already there. When they retired or when they become a better player. Like Sunil, for example, I know that his daddy is a person who have guided him all the way. So parents play a very important role first, yes, and after that, the players who have done really well, And if you talk about Kerala, we have few players. If you talk about Goa, if you talk about Kashmir, that's why we do a lot of community service through these players, in their own field, through API. We request them at least to spend some time with the community player, to come with the community kids, in their own places, in their own respective places. It's so important to have that, not only 1 or 2 days, at least to have 15, 16 days or 15, 20 days to spend time and spread the word around that, it's not only play, you have to concentrate in your studies as well, you have to balance. But we ourselves have to be the best example first for that. They see, they learn. They see, they learn, but the kids are very smart right now. They see, they learn. So I'm sure, not only me, there are many other players who are from Manipur as well. Of course, they're also trying to be the best example first, and then they are also helping the young ones. And that's how we should do. We can't, as an association, we can't stay in one place and, we go to every state, but then we are big players, we are important players from every part of the states in India, and that on those players have got important role to play to improve their community, to improve their states, and that's how it should be, I think.
Okay. I'm gonna come to the end of this chat. I'm gonna stick to coaching for the final bit. I'm gonna come back to you, Renedy, for this. So I think in your generation of players, they've always held Bob Houghton in very high regards, right? I'm going to put you on the spot for this, so sorry. You've played under a lot of coaches. Yeah. If you had to pick one that you like playing under the most, who would you pick?
Yes, it's a very difficult question, I would say, because when you pick one coach, I'm sure many coaches who have trained me, we will not feel great. But I would say yes, Bob Houghton is one of the best coaches that I ever played. It's not only me, the players who have from 2005 to 2011, the 27, 28 players, from that maybe 2 players may not be happy, or 3 players, but 24 players, I guarantee that they will always say that Bob was the best. Yes, in my life, when I was 11, Ranjan sir was the one who helped me get selected in TFA and who trained me in TFA, and that's because of him. Who am I today? It's because of him. Yes, first stage. And second, Sukhi sir, when I was just 19, from a player, and when I was just 19, he gave me the chance to play straight into the first 11 in 1998 in the Indian national team. Not 15 minutes, not 20 minutes, straight into the first 11. And I played for 12 years after that. Except 6 months when Naimuddin was there, I was not in the team in 2004 or 5. Other than that, I was there for so many years. So Sukhi sir, what he have done, he also have done, as an Indian coach, Suki sir is one of the most successful coaches for the national team,
Yes.
because we have won against UAE. You know, there are many records. Yes, but 2005, when Bob Houghton came, he have changed the way we play football. We know if the ball is on the left, what the right winger has to do, and if the ball is on the right, what the left winger has to do, what the left side back has to do. The shape, which we never talk about before. Before, of course, yes, we fight a lot. We run 90 minutes. We say, "Oh, Jan Dedo, you have to give 100%." Yes, but if you play with Japan, if you're not tactically sound, you cannot just play because you have Jan Dedena. Of course, yes, we have to give 100% what we have. But you have to fight tactically. You cannot go just without tactical. That's why I think we lost 7-0. We lost 7-0 against Japan, because those same players, Nakamura, which are batsmen, when under 19 Nakamura, we were 1-0 in Busan. It was not in Busan, in Suwon, when we played under 19, it was 1-0 with Japan. After 7 years, we played 7-0. That means, we are not that bad, but there's something wrong in that 7 years. What Japan has done, what we haven't done here. So I would have been the happiest if same again here, Bob Houghton, when we were 20, 21, but we were already 27, 28 when Bob Houghton came. But still, we had the best 5 years. That was the changing face of Indian football. Now the shape we are talking about, it's very normal for ISL team, because ISL has been coached by some great coaches. So the players know the tactically very, very strong now, the players. And nowadays, left wing bhagna hai to upar se niche tak aapko bhagte jana hai, and then you have to defend, aage jana, defend jana, aage jana, defend karna hai. But how we played tactically as a team wasn't there. But that's when Bob Houghton started working with the shape and so on. And what a wonderful coach. If I can have a little bit of him, his ideas, and I think that I would do good, and I would really do well in life, I think, if I can have a little bit. So I'm trying to get a little bit. I work with David Platt also, who has helped me in my coaching thing. And then if you talk about coaching education, what our Prashant would also agree, what Savio sir is doing. Savio sir with coaching education, there was no coaching education as such. Before we run, our warm-up was we run 40 round bhago, 30 round bhago. And that's when coach will start thinking what we will do today. And then 15 round ke baad some player will get inside the Mohan Bagan gallery inside. And when we are 29, 30 players, coaches will not know if two are hiding, And at 3-4 rounds before, they would come out and they will say, "Oh yeah, bahut thak gaya hu." And those were the training in those days. But now with coaching education, with the Savio sir and many others, what they're changing is that, even Prashant is in coaching education. So to change Indian football, I think we need good coaches in low level. We need good coaches in every schools in the state. And that's when it's not only good if we bring Jose Mourinho for Indian national team, it's not going to make big difference. It's not going to make big difference. But we need good Indian coaches, young Indian coaches who are 22, 23, 24 in school level. And then these coaches have to train under Savio sir, and then what Prashant and all doing under them. And then they can learn so much, and then you spread into all the schools in all over India. And when they start, in 5-10 years, you will see that. Of course, we can see the changes now, and it will see a lot more. And if you don't do that, we need 15 crores. If you bring a coach, that's not going to change. But coaching education will change the face of India. Yes, coming back, Bob Houghton have changed the face, and now we're just following his ideas, and of course it will go on. If you see the guy who worked with Bob Houghton, the Crystal Palace coach Roy Hodgson, he's the one who is 73 or 74. Still, he's the only eldest coach to survive for so long. People may not agree that he has not done well with Liverpool, but see where he have coached. He have coached Inter Milan. He have coached, So they have that, and both they were together in Malmo. So then, very lucky to have him. I would love to meet him someday, but I haven't been in touch for a long time. That's what it is. But yes, Bob, and then of course Suki sir, Ranjan sir, and there are many, and then David Platt as well.
Like from the outside as well, as a fan, I think those years were the most enjoyable for me when the Indian team was under Bob Houghton. 11-0 Japan result notwithstanding, I think that was a very difficult result.
7-0 in Japan in 2003. Bob hasn't arrived yet, you know.
So Bob was not the coach then, right?
Bob,
yeah. Then that's good.
Bob
That's
was not
good.
the coach. 7-0, yeah. But Bob came 2005. But the one good thing, so what we do, I want to add this. When we played Nepal, all due respect to Nepal, all due respect to Sri Lanka, Pakistan, you know, we play with them so many times. We win against them. But what do we get playing again and again with them? You know, you play with a bigger country sometimes, and you lose 5-2. You lose 5-3. We play against Bahrain. We lose 5-2. But that's where we start playing attacking football. All of my life, playing career, we defend till the 90 minutes. We defend. We won against UAE, we defend till the 90 minutes, you know. So players need to adapt both, yes, but then players need to go on attacking side as well. But now with Bob, we play almost attacking football, and which is good, but we do defend at times. But the way we play was so much more enjoyable, and to play under him, you know, it was such a good coach, you know, on and off the ground. That was lovely, and then it was great.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to come to the last question for this chat. Again, it's going to stick to coaching principles. I'm going to come to you first, Prashant. Do you have a favored footballing formation, and why?
Formation, not really. You know, I mean, there is definitely a style of play which I like, and then, you know, based on the style of play, and then you look at the players that you have, and then you decide the formation. But of course, yes, every coach has a preferred formation. I mean, if you go to see, style of play would be a proactive brand of football, proactive attacking style of play, and formations I prefer would be if I'm playing a back four, then 4-2-3-1, and if I'm playing a back three, it would be 3-4-1-2, which I played with my last team. So yeah, I mean, but it all depends on on what style of play and what kind of players that I have, because formation is just a tool to put your playing style on the pitch with the players you have. So but then every coach does have एक तो favorite होता ही है.
Okay, I'm gonna slightly reframe this question for you again, Prashant. So
yeah.
Say now you're going with three in the midfield, okay, with a two pivot, with a one attacking midfielder, maybe. Would you get your midfielders to close down the opponent, or do you get your midfielders to close passing lanes? Which of these footballing principles do you prefer? Close down passing lanes or close down?
But it all depends on the situation. It really depends. We cannot say that, you know, I would, you know, do that, but it all depends on the situation. To come out with what we were talking with Prashant, when we see Barcelona, all the coaches wants to play that style of game, right? It's such a colorful. If we talk about Man City right now, if we talk about Liverpool right now, what a game, you know, what a lovely. But are we ready? Are we as an Indian? Are we ready to play that type of game right now? We are not ready yet, but that's why we are working. It's so important to work from under 13 level on technique. So suppose if you don't have the best, we love to play out now. Every coach loves to play out from the back. You know, that's the thing going on right now. But if my right side back and the left side back, if they are not technical enough, if their technique is not sound, I will concede for 5 goals if the team is pressing high.
Sure.
So now it all depends on what we have, what players we have, you know. So if we talk about the senior team, so if I get straight into a senior team, I have to see, you know, are we technically sound to play from the back, or if we are not, and if I'm thinking, oh, हमको Barcelona से खेलना है, then we will concede and your job will be gone in few days. So it all depends on what we have. So if we are not technically sound, then we play the normal. But yes, I started with 4-4-2, and then I have realized that I play 4-1-4-1. You know, I like that game. Sometimes I play 2 in the midfield. Sometimes I play 1 at in the middle. But to play that style of the game, we have to start from a very young age, 12, 13, where I prefer to work on technique, So now we see a lot of players going to the gym, and they love going to the gym, show off their body. And this is what it's. Our players, Indian players, if you see right now, they are fit. If you see the data, you see the players run 13 kilometers. Indian players also run 13 kilometers easily. Indian players are not that slow. What are we slow at is what our first touch. Our technique is what. So our current Indian team, if you see the both wingers, how many assists they have done. We just depend on Sunil Chhetri. When Sunil Chhetri scores, India win. But how many of our tech, we have 1 or 2, if we talk about the boy from Kerala, Sahal, if you talk about the guy from Goa, so and the guy from Chennai, those are few players that they have got technical, but then they have to go way better. If we want to play what the current world best team are playing, we have to have the best technical abilities, which we don't have right now. So I can understand the current coach, our national team coach, why even though he want to play from the back, even you want to play the best beautiful football, we will not be able to play because it takes time, and then our fans will not give that much time. So that's why, as I have come back, 2 years I'm working, and I have to work few more. That's why every single day I work. Of course, we have to do strengthening. Of course, we have to do speed work. We have to do a lot of work. But then technique is the most important thing. If we don't have that, we will not go that far. We can be the fastest runner, but if we can't have the good first touch, we are not going anywhere. And then Indians, if you see, technique is letting us down. We cannot complain in those days. We could complain about the ground kharab tha, ye kharab tha. Now, if you see the ISL ground, it's as good as the Premiership ground, all the ISL league ground. We cannot. Of course, the local league players can complain, but they cannot complain. But are we good, ready to play those style? Are we good technically sound? Not yet. So that's what I whenever I meet players, I request them, please work on your technique. Please work on tech. If I want to send a ball pinpoint 20, 30 yards, if I can't, then on my mind, it will be really, I can. But if I'm not technically not sound, then football is finished right over there. So the football you want to play, you cannot play. So I think technique for me, to play any style, if you want to play any style, technique is the most important thing for me. And yes, speed it requires, but if you don't have a technique, we're not going anywhere. That's why I request all my players, to do well with technique. Yeah.
True. I think that's really important, right? Technique improve hona hai, footballing intelligence aana hai, and I think for even more important is fans like me need to be more patient. Like we want results overnight, right? I think that's also very important.
Fans watch this Barcelona, the way they are playing, and then to improve technique. See now, if we want to improve, 2 months if I run well, 2 months if I work out well, 2 months if I do the strengthening well, we can improve in 2-3 months. But technique, if you don't start from 7, 8, 9, 10, there are many players I know who cannot pass 30, 40 yards. There are many players who are playing, even in India, they cannot. So if you don't improve that, our footballing abilities become limited. So our qualities will become limited. Something to improve the technique, it takes 3-4 years. So that's why, to speed, yes, it's inborn. You can develop, but to improve technique, it will take years and years. You have to kick 500, 400, 500 ball every day. So in a month, it's 20,000. So that's how it takes time.
True. Gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this. It was an absolutely amazing chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you.